Students of Prestige Institute of Management, Gwalior. First, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. I am Shikha Sharma, Assistant Professor and Training and Placement Officer at Prestige. On behalf of Prestige Fraternity, would like to welcome you all in today's session. Now, I would request Professor Abhay Dubey sir, Head Training and Placement, to kindly introduce Prestige Institute of Management to this August gathering.
Thank you so much, Shikha ma'am. First of all, very good afternoon to Colin ji and Shikha ma'am, faculty colleagues, those who are there in the session, and the students also who have joined us for today. And on behalf of the entire teaching fraternity of Prestige Institute of Management Gwalior, I would personally like to welcome you to the institution. And this is the first time when you are interacting with our students. So it's my honor, it's my privilege to introduce you to the institution. So Prestige Institute of Management Gwalior, sir, it's an autonomous institution. It has been accredited by NAC A category, and we have a score of 3.26 out of on a scale of 4. And if I'll talk about other accreditation, we have NBA accreditation also for our MBA program. Means our MBA program is most acceptable program if we'll talk about the premier institutions of the country. So it has been accredited by NBA. Apart from this, institution has certain other achievements also, like we have a permanent affiliation to the university. We are an approved research center for management. We have been recognized by UGC bodies in 12F and 2B. So we have been so we have a liberty to take grants from the UGC and all. We have our own incubation center in the institution. So these are the certain things. And if I talk about ranking of the institution is exceptionally doing well in terms of ranking also. Like Prestige Institute of Management Gwalior ranked as best institution on ROI in Asia, if I'll talk about, by Times of India last year. We have been rated in platinum category by Confederation of Indian Industries, CII survey. We have also been rated A+ by Chronicle issue, which has been issued last year. We have been the best BCA college. We are the top 7th BCA college or BBA college in the country, if I'll talk on ROIs and other academic grounds as well. And so these are the we have approval of AICT. We have been approved by UGC. We have an approval of Bar Council of India because we have certain law programs also. So when it comes to the placement of the institution, we do cater 90 to 95, 97% of placements every year to the students. And if I talk about organizations, top brands in the country like Godrej and Boyce. If I'll talk about Standard & Poor, S&P Global is there. And if I talk about Deloitte is there, we have certain banks also, those who are coming to us, manufacturing, retails, there are organizations. Even we had a campus of Flipkart for certain position last year. We had a campus of Amazon also for certain position for the freshers. So these are the kind of banks. If I talk about HDFC, ICICI, Axis, they all are coming to us. So if you talk about Prestige as a institution which is based at Gwalior, it's a, I can understand it's a 3-tier city, but it's still the kind of opportunities which we are able to provide to the students in terms of placements. In all, I can say it's doing good. It's doing exceptionally well for the institution. We had 69 students in this batch, those who are passing out in 2020. MBA Colin, if I'll talk about. So, and we have been rolled out with 367 offer letters by the organization, which I have named a few in my address. So 367 offer letters have been rolled out. The highest package for MBA people was 12 lakh for the current year, with an average of around 4.52 for this batch. So this is how the institution is working. This is how we are growing. This is how we are stepping for the growth. We are going ahead. And again, today it is my privilege that you are here with us. You'll be able to tell students about the opportunities in the sector, what they should expect being a fresher from the industry, what industry expects from them being a fresher. So I think this session will be, this session will enhance them in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their, how do they explore industry and, opportunities once they'll be graduated from Prestige. So with these words, I would like to, I'd like to give a pause to myself because I can talk now on Prestige for hours to go. So I'll hand it over to you, sir. And once again, thank you for joining us today.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Just a minute I require.
Please,
so I'll be briefing a bit about the theme for today's talk. Like the theme is charting a winning career in the new world, which is very relevant topic and needs an art. As we all are witnessing a very unprecedented time, students are understandably a lot of panic and uncertainty when it comes to their employment prospects. As they will be graduating during this corona pandemic, So today we will be discussing what student can do to boost their employment prospects during this time and how the graduate application process is likely to be affected by the crisis. Although companies in some sectors such as hospitality, tourism, leisure aren't currently hiring, but we should not lose hope. Logistics, health, medicine, edutech, consumer durable, and many more retailers and many more other organizations are booming and are actively looking to recruit graduates. So what graduates need to do, they need to plan it properly. They need to do more research, groom themselves, be industry ready, job ready, and try to honor these companies. So I'll not take much time on this as we have the ocean of knowledge and experience, Mr. Mendes with us today to enlighten us topic. And I'll take another 1 more minute to introduce Mr. Colin Mendes. Mr. Colin Mendes, General Manager and Head Human Resource at Voltas Beko, a joint venture between Voltas and Arcelic in consumer appliances. In his current role, Mr. Mendes is building talent that brings everyday happiness to each household in India. Prior to this, he led human resource for domestic projects group at Voltas and was responsible for HR, capability building, compliance management and safety, health and environment. In his early assignment, Mr. Mendes has worked at the group level as well as across various industries such as telecom, ITS, FMCG, pharmaceutical, covering various facets of HR at the operational and strategic level. He has held senior leadership positions with Group HR, Tata Sons, Tata Tel Services, WNS Global Services, Bharti Airtel, Hindustan Unilever, Pfizer with specific exposure in people and change management during mergers and acquisitions. Mr. Mendes holds a bachelor's degree in commerce and postgraduate in business management. His expertise has been regularly sought at conference, forum, institutions, and knowledge centers like CII, NHRDN, SHRN, People Matters, World HRD Congress, IIT Delhi, and other management institutions, who regularly invites him to share his perspective. Mr. Mendes has also been recognized at the Great Manager Award 2017 in the category Aligning Organization Vision, hosted by People, Business, and Economics Times. Mr. Mendes loves to travel and explore new geographies. He also enjoys various genres of music and loves singing. Mr. Colin Mendes is such a fascinating and resourceful person. So for next 60 minutes, we all are in for a treat today. So without further ado, please join me welcoming Mr. Colin Mendes in today's talk. Now, I would like to request you, Mr. Mendes, to kindly share your insights. We'll follow it with question and answer round. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shika, and thank you, Abhay, for the introduction. I think it was insightful to hear about the institution and also hear about what all the amount of allocates that you all have got over the number of years. So it was truly insightful to hear that. And I think, Shika, you also very briefly and beautifully outlined what I'm going to talk about. So I'm wondering how much of that is left for me to speak. But but I will try and share my perspective with the students. I'm very excited to be here today morning, today afternoon with each one of you, and I'm really going to share some of my experience, and I also will share that what is going to be the way forward for each one of you. While I do understand we are going through unforeseen circumstances, I think there are good times that are there ahead, and I will through my presentation and through my slides I will talk about that. Yeah. So and of course I'll be happy to receive questions towards the end of the session, or if you would like to pause in between, you can drop messages in the comment box. That's also good enough. So with that, let me quickly share my slide, and that will help you. Yeah. Just a moment. Super. So guys, can you see the presentation at the moment? Yes. Okay. Okay. So I hear a nod, and that confirms that it is seeable. Okay. Yeah. So very quickly, let me give you a quick perspective. As you can see on your screen, we're talking about a race over here, where all of you today are one of these red little cars that are on a race in an unforeseen world, which is a new world ahead. And I think this is going to be a very interesting race ahead for each one of you. It's of course a race to start a new career for you, and I'm sure each of you will be able to paint out a beautiful career for each of you. Yeah. Before that, I just want to give a small disclaimer. So that's just a moment. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. So these views are of course my own and don't represent the organization I represent. So short disclaimer on that. Yeah. And so let me paint out, what typically is each one of your plans. So if I were to paint out a plan for today, what we think and what really often really happens. So if you look at the first part of it, what do you think is a straight road ahead? And you think, you're going to win that race, and you're going to be starting the race on time and winning the race on time. But in reality, it looks very different. Yeah. And I think the first picture and the second picture really illustrates what often really happens. And this is actually so true in today's time, because not necessarily, but I think it's got amplified in today's time, when the reality is very different from what the original plan was. So as you can see in the second half of the slide, you can actually see that, you have a burning pit, you have deep trees, you have very unforeseen terrain, you have to go through a ship, even a bridge, a long tight ladder till you reach the finish line. And actually that's what we are all experiencing today. Yeah. But however, it is with each of these difficult terrains that will actually help us understand and help us become stronger and better in these difficult times. Yeah. So of course, what are all these troughs that you can see? What are all these peaks that you can see? I think there is one big trough that we are currently in, and that is the current pandemic. Yeah, I'm not going to talk much about the pandemic, but I just want to reiterate certain important points, which I think will really influence the future of work, the future of workplace, and the future of technology. Yeah. And I think these are very important for each one of you, because as you experienced it, it's going to change certain aspects of employment as well. And I will talk to you through and help you understand that. So really today, if I ask, how much can a virus really change? Yeah. It has changed the future of travel, the future of food, the future of sport, the future of shopping, the future of education, and the future of work. Yeah. Almost everything, as you can see. Yeah. And I think the very important point that for each one of you are the last two, which is the future of education. Yeah. I don't think so any one of you would have dreamt that you would be, sitting behind a computer. And even I would have ever thought that I would be actually, talking to all of you through a computer. Yeah. We thought that we would meet in person, and I like to see expressions and things like that. But that's what the future of education has moved to. Yeah. So today, I think most of your programs are getting delivered through web format, but that's going to be the future, how this entire thing will change. The future of work also is going to undergo a lot of change. And here I'm going to talk about three aspects: workforce, okay, society, technology, and really what really will take place through. Yeah. And so let me start with the first aspect of it, which is workforce. Yeah. Because I think this is very important for each one of you to understand that the entire model of workforce that is currently there, or that is there in most companies, is going to get remodeled. It's going to be reimagined. It will be rebuilt. Why? With the entire aspect of focusing on enhanced productivity today. Yeah. So why are we going to rebuild and reimagine jobs? We want to do that because we want to enhance productivity with limited resources that are available. The second thing that is important is about recalibrating expectations and reskilling at speed and scale. So what really happens over here, when this change is happening currently, the entire skill of people will actually need to be enhanced, and the scale would need to be enhanced, because that is going to start changing very, very rapidly. Yeah. There will be, of course, the entire format of jobs will undergo a kind of redefinition. There will be contractual, there will be gig employment, and I will come back to you. What is going to be the nature of employment going forward? And of course, leadership skills is going to be very, very key when we're talking about managing remote teams that are all over and spread across the country. Yeah. So I think this is a key aspect that will actually change. So there will be a greater focus on speed, on boldness, and on innovation. Okay. And I think gig economy will emerge in the emerging markets as well as in the most developed markets. So with that backdrop on workforce, what is the result on society? And I think it's important to understand the entire ecosystem. So you look at the burden on local transportation and infrastructure will actually ease, where you will have fewer roads and lesser traffic and pollution that will be there, and that's very important. You will have more chat rooms and conference rooms that will emerge rapidly, and the media spend will shift from television to actually digital. And today we are talking on a digital format. And of course, the flip side is there will be an increased adoption of addictive materials. So these are various aspects that I think will take place. And I think the most important among this is the impact on technology. Yeah. And today, technology has actually got accelerated on account of the pandemic. Why? Because you want to ensure that you continue to maintain productivity to the level at which it was there pre-pandemic. So there will be more and more collaborative tools. There will be super apps. We're today talking on a collaborative tool that at one point in time, I can almost see more than 125 plus people at the same time and talk to you guys at the same time. Yeah. And I think that is the power of ensuring that we are able to reach out. Imagine if I were sitting in Mumbai and if I were to travel to Gwalior, I would spend so much of time in travel, so much of time to reach there and then come back again. But now, few minutes before, I just joined the call and I'm there with each one of you. So, I mean, technology has really brought us together far more faster. It's made the best use of time and it's made the best use of productivity as well. So that's the important aspect. Automation will really create a huge amount of momentum today. And so with more reason to have things automated, I think the technology and automation at factory levels and at organization levels is going to get accelerated to a very large extent. The budgets that are really there today on IT and infrastructure will actually get accelerated during this time. And today, all organizations are relooking at their technology budgets because they want to ensure that they are able to be there, available, and ensure that people are still productive at the same time. So budgets are going to be re-looked at, and budgets are going to be redesigned and reassigned. Yeah. So really, how will technology stack up in India? And I wanted to give you a picture of this because I think it's very important over there. There will be the innovations, of course, will get accelerated to a very large extent. Yeah, that I think will happen. And therefore, you will have a very large focus on artificial intelligence. And I think in the last 5 years, 90% of apps will really leverage artificial intelligence. I'm sure each one of you have experienced this, but I think it's very important to understand that when you use technology, the technology starts giving you what you desire. So if you're searching for a particular product, it will start populating the similar kind of data for you. Yeah. And that's where you will actually end up becoming inescapable from artificial intelligence over a period of time, because everything that you talk to, everything that you speak to, every conversation or every message or every search that you do will actually be tracked in the background and will actually understand your entire pattern of behavior. Yeah. So imagine as a consumer, a lot of data that you actually type on your phone is being tracked in the background and actually is determining what is your preference pattern. So that is one aspect of it. The second aspect is about digital innovation factories. So what's really going to happen in this case is that essentially factories will start getting far more innovated. Yeah. They will focus on automation that will enhance productivity of people. They will focus on routine tasks that will actually get accelerated during this platform, because companies will start to ensure that their dependency to some extent on manpower is reduced, and automation to that extent is increased. Yeah. And if you look at these statistics that talks about by 2025, 2/3 will deploy codes and 90% will be cloud native people. Yeah, which means there will be almost 1/6 more developers in the industry. So I think that's a huge shift that is currently happening. The other aspect is about promotion of trust and remaining the necessity to stay competitive in a very, very difficult market. As you know, what's really happening today in the market is that everything is trying to become closer. Supply chain has faced a major brunt of it. And what's happening is that because of supply chain facing the major brunt, companies have tried to bring in vendors that are closer to them so that they are able to develop, or trying to depend more on doing it internally. So the dependency on third party or the dependency on a supplier that is outside the country is slowly getting closer. So therefore, important to ensure that whatever happens in this scenario, demonstration of digital trustworthiness will continue to be the way forward. And from an overall cloud perspective, everything, all the data, if that is maintained, will start to get integrated through a hybrid management technology, where you will have various tools, various processes that will enable digital service providers. So there will be accelerated innovation. There will be building out of the edge, which ensures that you build products and services that are of repute. There will be an explosion in industry applications. Yeah, every enterprise will have its own integrated platform. There will be cross-industry interface, which is very critical at this point of time, and the technology platform wars will continue to be there. Yeah, so these are something that I think is something that is going to be remarkably changing in our industry going forward. Yeah, and I thought I should leave this backdrop in front of you, because I think it's very important that each one of you are alive to understand that technology, to a large extent, whether I'm a management graduate for sales, for marketing, for finance, or for human resources, technology we can't alienate ourselves from technology, and use of more and more technology in everything that we do will become a bigger and better thing going forward. So let me give you a quick example here and show you a picture of how traditional supply chain works and how the new supply chain will work. Now, look at this 6-step process, which starts from raw material and goes to a consumer in the traditional format. With huge amount of digitization taking place, it's actually brought down from raw material to design and to directly to consumer. So you've actually managed to crunch the entire process, yeah, and crunch the entire operational process and make that operational process far more concrete, yeah. And this in my mind, this is just an understanding of 3D printing, and how this actually process can be can actually get disrupted in that sense. So if you look at the organization structures will need to be re-engineered on that basis. There will be operational processes, revenue models, and the entire business will need to undergo a change and a shift that will actually make this value chain far more productive. Yeah, and let me talk about how this entire shift has taken place. So I'll give you a quick example over here. Digital possibilities are, if you look at this scenario 2 years back, and you look at the scenario currently, and you look at the scenario in the next 2 years, look at how this entire thing has changed. Yeah, and I think I want to highlight the aspect of growth via digital. Yeah, which was the last in the agenda 2 years back. I think that is going to be, while currently it's second on the list, the next 2 years is going to be the top on the list. Yeah. So while So growth via digital will bring about more cost optimization, better productivity, better customer engagement, and ensure compliances are maintained to a stronger extent. Yeah. So I think this graph really talks about the huge shift that's happened 2 years back and how this has radically changed till today and what this will change going forward. Yeah. So if you will look at this, what's going to take place in the way in terms of the way of things that are being made today. I picked this out from a BCG report and I thought I should share this with you because there will be 9 technology advances, yeah, that will be foundation blocks for our industry going forward. Yeah. And our industry, of course, is in the process of 4.0. But if you look at it, there is huge progress in everything from cloud to manufacturing, augmented reality, AI, internet, IoT, and so on and so forth. So these are going to be technology advances that will really take place. So what does it mean for each one of us? And I think that's very important, you know. Which with enhancement in technology, it also means that as a country, we need to enhance the skill, we need to enhance the resources that are there. Yeah. And over here, I have a map that was pulled out some time back from a Future of Jobs report, yeah, from the World Economic Forum, which talks about India, you know, being much higher in level in the average disruption area. And I think that's where you can see significant improvement and where you can see India moving very quickly in terms of enhancing skills and resources. Yeah. So really, if you look at this and you look at the skill disruption that's currently happening now, this probably got accelerated and the graph might have changed, but it helps you understand how this entire process has gotten evolved currently. Yeah. So what will happen is there will be new skills that will start to emerge. There will be new roles that will emerge. There will be new expertise. There will be new knowledge, and there will be a new talent strategy. Let me explain how that works. So there will actually be 3 kinds of people that every organization must have. And the reason why I'm telling this to each one of you today is because you will have a scenario where these three categories of people will actually be across various levels of and layers of management in the company. So let me start with explaining to you these 3 categories of people. The first one is basically a trainer. Yeah, a trainer is one who's basically a data analytics. Okay, he understands data, he understands AI, ML, and he is able to use this data, train for accuracy and prediction for data learning. So he's converting all this huge information that is available, he's converting all that into learning so that we are able to use that and make some meaning out of it. Yeah, so that's a trainer. The second category will actually be an explainer who is able to visualize data to abstract insights. So convert that data into information and insights. The third category is really the sustainer who talks about having huge technology capabilities to keep technology and enablement continuous. So what's a sustainer? A sustainer is one who actually ends up, you know, bringing all this information together and ensuring that this technology is not only for today, but it is technology that will be with us for the number of years to come. And I think that is the key in this entire aspect. So these are the 3 categories of people that actually will be there in the system. Yeah. Now, if I want to look at it, what will be the impact on environment and technology on each one of us? Yeah. So I think there will be, of course, a disconnect with the company strategy and the own role. And I think it's very important here that each leader has to play a very, very important role of ensuring that this disconnect is removed and it is mitigated and therefore brings the organization together. Yeah. The second is about uncertainty and feelings of abandonment. With people working separately and in organization, in own homes, there might be a feeling of uncertainty or a feeling of abandonment and so on and so forth. That is very important that these aspects are done away with. And as students who will get into employment soon, and if you have scenarios of this nature, you need to understand that this is not a feeling of that you need to have, but this is the way of a model of working that organizations might take forward. The third is about skill redundancy. When we're talking about various skills that are there, what certain skills will continue to be there, and which skills will continue to roll the roost as we go forward. The next point is regarding job redundancy. So there will be certain aspects of roles that will change, jobs that will not be no longer valid, and there will be some redundancy that will take place over there. And of course, the pace of change versus the pace of upskilling is very, very critical in today's time, wherein you need to ensure that you're able to upskill with the pace of change. Yeah. So with that backdrop, I wanted to talk about one clear aspect, that when you're upskilling, there will always be a reluctance to relearn and reluctance to unlearn. Yeah. And therefore, it's important that you guys as young students today will actually spend and invest the time to relearn, to upskill yourself during this difficult phase. Yeah. From an overall work front, I wanted to share with you, how does this change? So there will be a shift in the workforce mix. Yeah. You will have categories of people who are on roll, contract, and on trainees, which currently also exist today. But you will also have a category of people who are hybrid workers, workers who work on site, people who work virtually, people who work on flexible hours, and of course, gig workers. So look at the workforce mix, as I mentioned when we started our conversation, will actually undergo a huge shift. Yeah. This is one of the biggest shifts that are actually going to take place in the industry. And so therefore, all of us must be alive to this shift and must appreciate this shift. This probably would be one of the way forwards for employment going forward. And there is nothing wrong about which category of work that you take, because each category will bring out the best in what you're able to do. Let me give you a quick example. Yeah. If you take an example of a gig worker, is someone who works with multiple set of companies, has got a core skill, is kind of a person who is able to lend his skill, his expertise to different companies, and is actually able to draw remuneration from 2 or 3 sets of companies. Yeah. So look at that. Core skill, unique skill, and as is able to lend its skill, availability very less, but still able to be available and lend its skill to different formats of companies. So that, I think, is a very important thing. So what it means for each one of you, that in the workforce of tomorrow, you may actually have a scenario where you will have people in different categories, and there is nothing wrong about it. In fact, this is possibly the way forward of workforce in the new era. And that's the point that I wanted to bring about. So this is one of the biggest shifts that will take place in the entire workforce. What actually triggers this is also a shift that takes place in the consumer behavior. And I want to talk about that because I think all of us have experienced how the consumer behavior has actually changed in the last few months. Yeah. So the consumer behavior will become more event-based. Yeah. It will have a larger focus on wellness and personal care. There will be many shifts. There will be focus on trying to have everything that is contactless, so you don't exchange or have touch points that are there. The format of luxury items or owning luxury will probably start to reduce. There will be a focus on travel and vacations will start to look different now, and to a large extent, digital will be the way forward to a very large extent. Now, let me give you a quick example over here, and I think it's very relevant because today you look at things like, shopping, for example. I mentioned that, the virus can change habits of shopping. Let's look at it in the last 2 months. What would you have purchased? Yeah. I think most of you would have purchased essential commodities. I think maybe grocery and food stuff that you really need. You probably never spent money on going to a restaurant because none of them were open. You probably never bought any new clothes because probably online delivery was not there. but that's what you actually purchased, right? Because that helped you, kept you going in the last few months. What will happen in the post era? It'll take a lot of time for all of us to shift the preference of as a consumer behavior. So which means that, today, if the world opens up, will you go and run into a Zara store and buy whatever you like to buy? No, you probably would go slow. I'm not sure whether someone else has worn that clothes and whether it is sanitized and clean. Yeah, you would not do it, right? You would also not actually get into a situation where you want to go and have a fancy meal because you're not sure whether the table is clean enough, whether the food is hygienic enough. So all these apprehensions have been built into our mind. But I want to leave this thought with you that, while we have these apprehensions will go away. And before you know it all, this entire story would be a story, a chapter that, probably you'll be teaching your friends, colleagues, children over a period of time, that this is something that you experienced, and you will be out of it much more better and much more stronger. Yeah? But I think it's important to understand today and understand today in the context of tomorrow. Yeah. And therefore, I thought from a career perspective, how very important it is to create a winning career for each one of you in the new world. Yeah. So let me give you a quick snapshot of what is the story today. And I think it's very important not to ignore today's story, because that's going to have an impact on tomorrow. Look at this. Look at India where it is today. Not a very good site right now, but there are some green shoots. Yeah. This is a data that I picked up from McKinsey that I'd like to share with you. Very quickly, you don't need to go through the details, but I think if you look at across all industries, all have been in the negative, which is not a good sign. Yeah. But I think it is understood. It's a situation that each one of us are experiencing. And of course, that's a scenario that is there. But we need to understand and appreciate it, that we will be out of this much more stronger. But there are certain sectors that actually will show a positive uptick. Yeah. Let me talk about those sectors. For example, digital and internet economies. Yeah. I think there's been a huge focus on online-based product and services. All of us are purchasing stuff online now. There's going to be focus on education technology. I think a large part of your institute maybe might have commenced doing it. Online education, I think it's already in place there. Skill development, which is currently happening. We spoke about focus on grocery, which has gone online again, as well as, of course, digital content, which will be, so things like Netflix and Amazon Prime are areas that we are unable to go to enjoy a nice movie and book your tickets on Book My Show. So you will probably watch an online movie, and that's the scenario today. Food and retail we spoke about will ensure those are companies that will continue to do well, exceedingly well. Specialty chemicals, because that's an industry of disinfectants, drugs, medicines, and so on and so forth. And of course, pharma, which is the industry where everyone is looking at who is going to give us this magic drug that will get us out of COVID-19. Yeah. So all these industries are the industries to watch for. These are the industries for you to look at, because these industries are just going to take off like anything else. Yeah. Of course, having said that, it doesn't mean that the rest of the industries will not bounce back. They will bounce back, and they will bounce back well, and things will be good. Things will be probably better than you thought they are. Let me give you a quick example. Automobile industry. Automobile industry has been reeling through huge cost pressures in 2019. Has been struggling to make money in 2019. Yeah. And then to add to that, you had COVID-19 to come on top of it. Yeah. So 19 really happened 19 again. Yeah. So what really happens? That industry found people not buying cars. But if you understand today, the customer sentiment has again started to change. You know what's the sentiment today? People are started to buy cars because they feel it's safer to travel in my own car than travel in a taxi where 100 people have traveled before. Okay. So you understand how the sentiment has started to change across with individuals. I'll give you another example of a product that we sell, dishwashers. Yeah, we sell dishwashers. Most Indian households never bought a dishwasher for a very long time. Yeah, most Indian households or most Indian kitchens never had a space for a dishwasher also to add to it. But today, with house helps not being available for the last 2 months and so on and so forth, dishwashers is one big product that has been the biggest, hottest selling product in the market. Yeah, and I'm happy to tell you that, of course, while we are sold out of products and more will come in, the entire industry is completely drained out of dishwashers. There is no dishwashers available in the market. So that's been a huge game changer because people want convenience. People want products that will help them sail them through these tough times. There is another product called a UV case where you can ultraviolet case where you can put in anything and it cleans it disinfects it out of virus, which is an ultraviolet like it's something like a microwave. You can put in any let's say you go out, use your mobile phone, you come back, you put your mobile phone over there, it gets disinfected. Yeah, nothing happens to your instrument. It's only UV. That's it. So these are the new technologies that are coming. So there is a huge innovation that's actually happening in the industry. And I think it's important for you guys to be at the edge of innovation, understand what's really happening and why is that going to be so important for the future. Yeah. And I couldn't refrain from picking up this picture because I think this gives you such a huge positive outlook of India. The opportunity of rebuilding India and rejuvenating India. It's a huge opportunity. And this I picked up some time back, but I think I wanted to really talk about, look at what India is doing. Yeah, with whatever is happening across the world, India is becoming a new alternative destination for multinational companies to start using as areas where you can actually build businesses. And the government today is luring businesses moving out from other countries with seamless land acquisition policies. Yeah. So what are they really doing? There's a land pool of approximately 4,61,000 hectares. Yeah. Which is actually being examined by the government to provide infrastructure like power, water, road access. This will actually help countries and foreign investors and companies want to manufacture in India. India is looked at a destination that will be able to attract companies because of various reasons. A very, very strong workforce that we have, a very, very strong area and policy that we have that will facilitate people to industry to come in. We are able to optimize on cost, which is very, very critical on any manufacturing. So anything that you manufacture, there needs to be a cost of manufacture that goes to it. So that is going to be key. So India is going to be a destination and the government is moving very, very quickly in building infrastructure to attract companies from Japan, with United States, South Korea. There are already inquiries in these areas. You know. The focus area is to promote manufacturing in electrical, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, electronics, heavy engineering, solar, food processing, chemicals, and textiles. So all these industries are really going to be made available for us. So what does it mean for each one of you? It means an opportunity of huge employment that will come into our country and an opportunity for each one of you to look at these sectors very, very closely, because these are the sectors that will grow and these are the sectors that will rapidly take your career forward. And I think this is the important aspect that I wanted to talk about, because the sector will continue to improve. If you look at, I think this is something that I wanted to share with you. I think already spoke about in the earlier slide, but I think India is going to play a leading role in the global revival process. You know that India has got a very, very strong pharmaceutical and research background. And today, the best of the best people the best of the best research actually comes out from India. And the ability to manufacture medicines and pharmaceutical products actually come from India. So the leading role in global revival will actually emerge from India. So what does it mean again for each one of you? It means an opportunity of employment that will be there in the industry, and it will be there for each one of you. Yeah. So there are some aspects that I wanted to talk about, which is very important. There will be certain challenges as is very important. The focus on developing contingent plans as leaders of organizations will be key. Managing work environment and different types of schedules, of course, will also be very important. The aspects of control, supervision, compliance will actually need to be reconfigured from an overall leadership perspective. And of course, technology and communication will continue to be of great focus going forward. So really, organizations are going to focus on really two aspects. The first aspect will be on people, yeah, where we're talking about safety and physical and emotional well-being. The second aspect is on cost, because I think it's important in today's time to ensure that we are able to contain our costs, protect the organization's longevity over a period of time, which means basically you need to relook at your talent pool and retain and engage and motivate people who are able to survive this difficulty. The other aspect that organizations will focus on is the future, which is basically, as I spoke about, focusing on innovation, on a stronger vision that will build and implement newer business models that will be there, using the power of data to make quicker decisions, yeah, and connecting the entire dispersed people today, like how today we are all connected. More than 130 of us are connected on a platform that brings us all together, yeah, and we're able to talk and collaborate on a common area. So what is the need of the hour today? I would like to talk about three areas that is very, very important for each one of you. And I want you to take this message because I think it's very critical and important. The first area is to focus on super flexibility. Manage your time, manage your money, and manage your people. Yeah. And organizations need to really focus on being more and more flexible, and employees need to focus on being more and more flexible. There will be more flexibility in time. There'll be more flexibility of how you want to manage your money. What's the type of employment that you want to be? That's most important. The second aspect is about being more versatile. Yeah, we spoke about everything that's changing in the digital technology that's changing. So how do you actually juggle priorities? How do you focus on multi-skilling? And multi-skilling is very, very critical going forward. So one will not necessarily want to be only in one area of skill, but if you are able to actually multi-skill, that is where you will be found a far more useful individual. And the third aspect is on swift decision making. So here we're talking about, are we able to quickly modify, engage, disengage? And as I showed you at the beginning of our picture, it's a race match, right? Are you able to shift those gears very quickly? Yeah. So when you're on a race match, when you're in a racing game, if you're able to switch gears quickly, you could actually win that race. Yeah. So that's very, very important, is ensuring that you're able to take swifter decisions and ensure that it is really real time in that sense. Yeah. So if I were to help you, how do you really future-proof yourself? You need to make a choice for yourself. Do you want to be a generalist or do you want to be a specialist? And I think it's important to make that important choice, because today, whether you want to be a generalist or a specialist is completely your choice. You may choose to specialize in one area, but it's also important to ensure that you are able to understand the larger spectrum of things. But I would suggest just one aspect. Learn, at least one missing skill. You have a lot of time today. Use your time effectively to actually learn at least one missing skill. Spend at least 5 hours a week, and I think that will take you forward. The second aspect is about knowledge versus application. So whatever you're learning today in your institution, how are you able to convert that into an application? Yeah, how are you able to convert it towards a work environment at a later point in time? So ensure that there is a commonality between, or there is a flow between what you have as knowledge and how you convert that into information. The third aspect is about how you are really able to collaborate and contribute together And this actually will build in a leadership development going forward. Because, while we are all distanced apart, you will start moving into silos and becoming more individual contributors. But I think the key is building stronger collaboration and ensuring that we are able to collaborate despite today's situation. Yeah. And of course, the aspect of learning and unlearning is something that is very important. Yeah. So if I were to say what's going to be the new normal and mindset that you should have, and how do you really emerge stronger, I think the most important thing is to embrace change, acquire new skills, communicate that's very effectively, score quick wins that you might want, and that will ensure defining your success, and define a process of how do you want to really move forward in this. Yeah. I think this will ensure that you're able to remain and emerge stronger and better. Yeah? And if you were to look at yourself personally, yeah, if you want to look at it on a flip side, because while all these things you do is good, on a flip side, right, how does it look for you? It's important to look at two aspects: creating a whole new routine for yourself. Yeah, inculcate at least one new habit for yourself. During this period where organizations took some time and institutions took some time, did you spend your time, productively trying to inculcate one new habit, any new habit? Yeah, pick up something, exercise, stay fit, because that's important. Experiment or culinary skills, because those who like, or those who don't like, or those who never had males to come to cook your food, you probably even learn to cook something. So try singing, playing an instrument, just do something that you really truly enjoy. Yeah. And if I were to say that, from an overall perspective, what would the shape of things be going forward? Two aspects. One, of course, distances will start growing between people. There will be stronger resilience, and efficiency will be important. Economies will start to get more contact-free. Governments will start becoming more intrusive in everything. And today we have seen in the last few months how the MHA has kept on regularly publishing guidelines for industries. There will be far more scrutiny on businesses that are there, yeah, and important aspects. And then, of course, will be changes both in the industry structure, consumer behavior we spoke about, market, and of course, sector attractiveness. And I spoke about sectors that will actually take off going forward. So there will be better days ahead, and I think these days will continue to be a picture that will continue to stay. This is a picture that I picked up from your website. I think it's from your institution, and but I wanted to talk about areas. There will be a huge jump in rentals, yeah, entertainment, and there will be a huge focus on travel and tourism. So there will be better days. Life will be back to normal. Industries like cement, transportation will continue to pick up. The world will adopt a number of environmental friendly ways to ensure that they are able to live and become far more productive. And digital, of course, will no longer be a thing, but a way of doing things. Yeah. So I want to leave you with, we are almost at the end of the road, and I wanted to leave you with some golden rules for a winning career. I think the most important aspect is looking beyond what's visible. Yeah, a lot of times we sometimes look and we don't look beyond what's visible, or we don't look beyond the horizon. And I think that is very important as youngsters. While you start your career, look beyond what's visible and see if you can create certain insights over there. This next aspect is about agility. Yeah. Because you need to be agile in the current situation, as it is extremely very, very dynamic, and how we are able to move in this scenario is going to be important. Yeah. And the other aspect of ensuring that you are able to be strong and resilient in today's scenario is very important. So you need to have that grit and ensure that you're strong and better. There will be mistakes, okay, that you will make, and everyone has made. No one has experienced something like this. So we will make certain mistakes, but I think that will ensure that's a new beginning for each one of you. And of course, discover yourself more better. Yeah. I want to leave you with just one last slide that gives you 9 tips, okay, to be that champion on campus. Yeah. Yeah, and I think most of you, while I think your campus rounds will start, here are some of the tips that will help you become that champion. Yeah. And we started our race at the beginning, and today we are at the close end of the race. I want you to hold, each one of you to hold that championship trophy in your hand, but focus on these 9 aspects. The first one is on training. Yeah. No sportsman can be a winner unless he trains, he or she is trained well. Yeah. So you can't reach the race unless you have trained and you have gone through a huge amount of preparation. So ensure that that is done. Yeah. The second aspect is knowing your science. What that means really, research on the company that you're going to be interviewed with. Yeah. Understand the organization very well. Yeah. And I think that will help you going forward. The third aspect is on a coach. Okay. Take inputs from others, and it can be even from your friends. So take inputs from them, take those positive inputs, and be open for criticism and change. The fifth one is ensure that you're at the gym. Yeah, you're brushing up yourself on practices. Yeah, on interview questions. So you everywhere when you go to the gym, you really brush up yourself and keep yourself motivated, and you're there. Yeah. The fifth one is on extending the practice. So supposing you got to drive for 100 meters, drive for 110 meters. Yeah, which means that you stretch yourself during the practice on interview questions and so on and so forth. Yeah. The sixth one is on bad weather preparation, because you need to be prepared for the unexpected. Anything can happen. You know, you might get someone that's very strange, ask you the most weird questions, and you should not be able to fumble. You should be able to really handle that as though you have prepared 101 questions for 100 questions that were there. And the last 3 ones is visualize. How does this entire scenario look like? So create a mock-up on that. Yeah. Visualize and interview yourself, get yourself interviewed multiple times, and this can be done with a bunch of people. Yeah. Look at on the D-Day, warm up to competition. Okay, meet all your colleagues, feel cool, calm, relaxed. Do multiple interviews to sharpen your techniques, and you're ready to go there. And the last one is be cool, be calm, eat well, and go ready for your the day before your race, the day before your campus round. Go well prepared. Ensure that everything is kept ready the previous day, so that there are no hiccups. If you do all that very well on your pre-race day, you are sure to win that race. Yeah. So with that, thank you very much. I would like to say that the best days will be back. All the very best for each one of you. I'm sure I mentioned that India is poised for great growth. India is poised for, there is going to be huge opportunity that will come by as you go and you build your career going forward. There will be a lot of opportunity that will emerge. This is a temporary setback, and I don't want you to look at it as a setback that will hugely affect the industry and careers of people. I think there is an opportunity going forward, and for each one of you. Yeah. And I think we are almost there on time. I had to rush a little bit because I was conscious of time. And with that, I conclude. Look forward for questions, comments, anything that you'd like to ask.
Mr. Mendes, truly it was such an amazing talk. I cannot, describe in words how informative and knowledgeable, enlightening, insightful session it was. So truly it was a treat for us all to listen to you. And now the session opens for the question answers round. So I would ask the students to kindly come up with your questions, queries.
Sure. So
one by one.
Yeah, so I'm going to unshare this and
yeah. We are waiting. We are already running out of time. So please bring your queries on the table. It's a right time. It's a kind of platform that you can use the most. We have the most resourceful or knowledgeable person in front of us on this platform. So try to come up with your queries.
Yeah, I can see some queries that have come in the chat box.
Yeah.
So I think some of them
to unmute.
Yeah.
So please unmute the students.
Yeah, but let me quickly reply what is gig and Internet of Things. So gig economy, I mentioned in when I spoke about it, that gig economy is basically an economy, or it's basically a category of people who will work for multiple companies. They are subject matter experts. They are kind of freelancers in that sense, and they are able to work with multiple people, multiple organizations at the same time. So that is going to be a model of employment going forward. Yeah.
Mr.
Students,
Ayush,
now
want to
you can unmute yourself from your
uh,
end and ask the questions from the sir directly.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
let's take it one by one. I think Gargi has some question. Let's take her first.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi,
Yeah.
Gargi. Good
Hello, sir.
afternoon.
Yeah, sir. Actually, I've been a specialized student from marketing and finance. So, sir, I have a question related to a background of finance. That as we know that in this post-COVID arena, sir, many of the people who have lost their jobs or they were not being paid at the particular time. So, but in future, if any, I hope so not, but if in future we get into again in such situations, such pandemic era, so sir, how an organization will ensure itself that they have a sustainable finance
So yeah, I think
and a stable cash reserve, so that such things won't be. Yes, sir.
yes, Gargi. Thanks. Thanks for your question. I think you come from the finance discipline, so I think it's very important that you not only provide for today, but you also provide from a longitude period of time. The important area, I think, is cash management and, of course, looking at long-term liabilities and unforeseen liabilities as well. So the best way and the right way, and you would agree with me, being a finance student, is to ensure that you are able to provide provisions today, that tomorrow, if we have a situation not of this scale, but of similar scale, we are able to sail through with limited disruption in that sense. Yeah. So while today, of course, no one anticipated something as acute as this. Yeah, no one anticipated something as difficult as this. But however, if you have a situation like this, organizations will actually start providing for unforeseen circumstances. To some extent, a number of insurances have provided for various other calamities in the past, but something like this, I think no one has anticipated or experienced or could imagine. And I think having a situation that we are able to uh, provide provisions in our books will ensure that financially, from a longer term liability perspective, we are protected.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, another question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, Tanya.
Yes, sir. So first of
Hi,
all,
Tanya.
hello, sir. First of all, thank you very much for the wonderful session. This was really a need of heart. And so my question is that we are talking about the change in consumer behavior. Like people
Tanya, can you
are
write your question in the chat box?
digitalization over anything else. Like for example, the e-learning platforms are growing at hello.
Yeah, Tanya, could you please write your question in the chat box, because there is some problem from your end. We are not able to hear you properly. You're not audible.
Hello.
Mr. Mendes, students got so mesmerized by your words, because I'm getting the request that they have prepared a thanking video for you
Oh
in
my God.
short span of time, and they want to play it.
Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed by this, but thank you so much. I mean, if you all could do something like
Mr.
this.
Mendes, it's a request, humble request from the Prestige Institute side. So once the situation get normalized, we would really like you to visit our institute physically, and share your vision, your kind of insight with us. That would be an honor for us.
I will be very, very happy to visit your campus. I haven't been to Gwalior, so let me tell you that as well. But that besides, the point, it will be an honor for me to come and meet each one of you who have interacted today
Truly, Mr. Mendes.
on video call, because it will be lovely to see each one of you, I think, and also see your beautiful campus and a beautiful city. So.
Thank you so much. Ayush, you can play your video meanwhile.
Okay, ma'am.
And Tanya, you can write your question.
Yes.
I got some part of your question, but not fully. You're talking about shift in consumer behavior, and after that we could not hear. So I'm sorry. I would request you if you can write it on the chat. I will answer your question.
Ma'am, is my screen is available?
Yes,
Yes.
it's visible. You can play.
Okay, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Ayush.
Ayush, also, I wanted to thank you for your post on LinkedIn. It was very kind of you to post today's session on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for making that
My
customized.
pleasure.
Thank you.
For sure, he'll be sending more photos and videos to you directly on LinkedIn. And now the question is this.
Oh
I
yes,
guess, Mr.
I got the question. Yeah. So this is a question from Rohit.
Singh Kaura.
Happiness, and I think it's very it's truly, I think this the aspect of perseverance in that movie truly came out very strong. Yeah, very strong in that movie, Pursuit of Happiness, and I love the way he actually persevered from all the toughness and all the difficulty to actually emerge far more stronger. Brilliant movie, very well acted, and I think that tells us a lot of story of how even difficulties can actually make us victorious one day. So probably you've seen my interview on the video somewhere, and I think you got that from there. I'm just guessing.
Right.
Okay, so I got this question from Tanya. Tanya, what would this change in consumer behavior continue after we have a vaccine? Like people are nowadays watching movies online, and what after theaters will open? Yeah. So yes, of course, there would be a shift in consumer behavior. I won't say there will be a change in consumer behavior. And why I'm saying that, because certain behaviors will start shifting. Yeah, which means that like today, people when online movies started, not every people still love to go to a theater. Why? Because you like to go to a theater. It's an outing. You go to the mall, you shop, you eat your popcorn, you eat your samosa over there, you enjoy it. Yeah, it's a method of socializing. You also meet friends maybe over there. So going for a movie was like an occasion. However, that's not going to stop. Okay, but people will start getting addicted to a new way of watching movies online. But I think both systems will continue to coexist. Watching movies online as well as watching movies in the theater. So theaters will reopen. Theaters will be back. Theaters life will be back to normal very soon.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
We have another question from Gunjan Vyas is there. Being a human resource manager, what thing we should keep in mind while managing people working from home?
Wow. So I think a very important question. I think not only as human resources, but I think important question for any leader who's leading teams. The first important aspect when people are working from home, we need to understand that it's important to maintain a routine, maintain a pattern, because lot many times when you're working from home, you realize that there is no pattern. Yeah, you can call people whenever you want, and life is much more flexible. But it's important to maintain that pattern, because I think that will ensure that everyone can work like they were working in office. You can work in a very similar scenario. You also need to understand the aspect from a leadership perspective that people who are working from home also have certain challenges. Not necessarily everyone has an infrastructure where there is a separate room. Everyone has an infrastructure where there will be no disturbances. Yeah, you need to appreciate that when in your home there will be disturbances from family members, from kids, from children, from doorbells ringing. All those things will happen. So you need to be inclusive. You need to allow that to happen. You cannot make a home environment an office environment. Yeah. So I think the aspect of understanding, the aspect of understanding the scenario, okay, of people, I think is very important. The third one is about, a big important aspect about when people are distance from each other. Sometimes you don't really understand feelings of people. Yeah. Because you're just seeing people on video. You're not conversing enough. You're probably conversing for a particular point and then you disconnect. So unlike in office where you meet and you've met for a cup of tea and so on and so forth. So really that entire emotional connect must continue to happen. As people distance from each other, that emotional connect also starts to distance. And I would suggest some interesting ways, and I think you can even do it with each one of you today. Meet one day evening for a cup of tea, or for a meal. Yeah, just like you would have done it in college. In college you would have met at your favorite corner spot where you could have had your bel puri or whatever you like. So ensure that you're able to continue to do all these crazy things that you did in your normal course. That I think will ensure that people not only work together but enjoy working together in a format like this, particularly when they are at distance. And also one other thing that I would suggest is have a no agenda meeting. Yeah, so just meet for the fun of it. Meet to just discuss something and talk something that you felt was fun, you enjoyed. And if some of y'all like to play instruments, then some of y'all can actually play instruments online and let the rest of them enjoy. Some of you who like singing can do that. Just meet for a different purpose. I think that's very important. So these are some of the thoughts that I have. Yeah.
Mr. Mendes, we are already running out of time. If you permit, can we take some more questions, because I can see a few of them in chat box.
Yeah, okay, we can do a couple more and then...
Let's take the last one. This is from Avinash Goel. Sir, Indonesia is the choice of MNCs before India to set up their units. Why is it so? Where India lacks?
So Indonesia also has got a strong workforce. Indonesians are also very, very hard-working people. Indonesia has actually moved faster in terms of their policy, less bureaucratic, and therefore Indonesia has been a preferred destination. But having said that, I think the government of India has moved very quickly today. And today, as I mentioned in our discussion earlier, that the government is moving very, very quickly to lure all foreign investors and foreign companies to come into the country. So while Indonesia has been a preferred destination earlier, today I think India definitely is a very, very competitive destination for foreign companies and countries to come into India to boost the manufacturing capability. India has strong positives, a strong workforce, a labor that's not very expensive, cost of manufacturing can be contained, and I think India will be the destination for many companies, many industries to open manufacturing in India. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. I truly wish your session doesn't wind up. We keep getting chance to listen your words of wisdom, but this cannot be done. So now I would request Ashwini sir to kindly propose vote of the thanks.
I just thought I'll mention that anyone who has any further questions, you can drop me a chat on LinkedIn, and I can be happy to still, because I know we've had a shortfall of time, but drop me your questions on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to take up your questions and reply to you. And feel free to connect if there's anything that I can be of any help from the industry perspective. I will be more than happy and delighted to comment. And for all those who have given questions, thank you very much for your questions. Thank you, Gargi. Thank you, Tanya. and the others who have actually put in questions on the chat box. I think I truly appreciate your interactions, and that makes the session all the more meaningful for me.
Thank you so much, sir. Ashwini, sir, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Very good afternoon to all of you present over here. Faculty colleagues and all the participants watching this webinar on Zoom. By this, we have come to the end of the webinar organized under the banner of Training and Placement Cell of Prestige Institute of Management, Gwalior, and I feel extremely privileged to propose a vote of thanks. I would like to extend a very special thanks to our respected speaker for this webinar, Mr. Colin Mendes, Head General Manager and HR at Voltas Beko, for taking his valuable time out from his very busy schedule and blessing the occasion with his presence. Thank you so much, sir. Next, I would like to express my gratitude to our very own director, sir, Dr. S.S. Bhakar, for providing us the encouragement and support to organize this webinar. Thank you so much, sir. Next, I would like to thank to our head of department, Professor Abhay Dubey, for his continuous support and guidance during the whole journey of this webinar. Thank you so much, sir. Next, I would like to thank to Training and Placement Officer, Professor Shikha Sharma, for her continuous support during whole webinar. Thank you so much, ma'am. Also, I would like to acknowledge my gratitude to all the student volunteer for their continuous contribution in the webinar. Thank you so much to all the student volunteer. Thank you to all for being a lovely audience. Looking forward to continue this professional relationship in future course of time also. Thank you to all. Now I would like to request respected Colin Mendes sir to kindly allow us to wrap up the session.
Thank you so much. It's been a privilege and a pleasure to be there. Thank you, Shika, for inviting me. I think it's been a real pleasure to speak to so many students digitally. And I would, of course, as I mentioned, I'd love to meet you guys in person and interact with all the students at any point in time in future. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for considering our request to accept our invite. And truly, it was amazing to have you here, sir. We are truly honored.
Before that, I want to take one group photograph.
One group photograph.
Yes,
okay.
Please.
So please, student, put your screens on. We need to take a pic. So kindly do it fast. Are we good to go, sir?
Yeah, ma'am. Student, please switch on your videos. Okay, done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mendes. Thank you once again.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Take care.
You too. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.